All right. In this video, I want to talk about the start of the day. This is another thing I don't think a lot of people have looked into. Now, when we establish a fact, a doctrine from the scriptures, there's one thing you need to take into consideration here. You need 2 or 3 witnesses. Right? Now, this being said, people like to say that the day starts in the evening. Right? And then it ends in the evening. So when the sun is going down, this is the end of one day and the start of another, right? And they justify this because of what is said about one certain feast. I believe it's the Feast of Atonement, if I remember correctly, where it says, on this Sabbath, you'll celebrate it from evening to evening on these Sabbaths here, the Atonement Sabbath here, right? Now, this isn't talking about all Sabbaths. It's talking about this specific Sabbath. Only this one here. And the reason why it says this one you'll celebrate from evening to evening is because it's different. That's why he makes a note to tell you. He doesn't tell you this any other time, right? That's what I'm saying. There's not 2 or 3 witnesses to establish this. He only tells you it here on this specific Sabbath because it's unique and different, evening to evening, right? This is not how things normally are. That's why it's said. Now, this is the only evidence they have to do this, right? Now, I'm going to show you some evidence that shows contrary, right? For starters, Jesus, right? He was crucified, and the next day was the Sabbath, where they couldn't do any work, right? And by the evening, he was done, right? So at evening, it even says it in there in the Gospels, at the evening, he's dead. And they want to get his body in before the Sabbath. But if it's already the next day at the evening, they already failed. Not to mention that they didn't even get his body right away. They had to go to Pilate, ask for his body, then Pilate sent soldiers to see if he was dead, at which point they pierced him with a spear. Then they get the report that he's dead, tell Pilate. Then Pilate then allows them to get the body. Then they have to go all the way back and get the body. Then they prepared it to be put in the tomb. So by the time they put Jesus in the tomb, it was already the night. But if that was already the beginning of the Sabbath, because it was evening, they broke the Sabbath and they didn't do it in time. Right? And then at the start of the next day was not the evening, because when Jesus rose from the dead, he rose in the morning at the start of the first day of the week when the sun came up. Right? And this makes perfect sense. It's actually intuitive that the day starts when the sun rises. That's the new day. Right? I'll give you another witness. Jesus, when he returns, we are in the night, right? And he returns as the sun coming from the east to start the new day, the Sabbath day, the 1,000-year reign of Christ here on earth of peace, right? So we see here that day that he comes to reign starts with light, the light coming in. You want another witness? I'll give you another one. Let's do a third one here. 2 or 3, let's put the third one here. In Genesis, when God says he's doing the work, what does he do? He does some work, like he says, let there be light, for example, on the first day, let there be light. So he's working, and then it says there's evening, because he's done working. Then there's evening, then there's morning, the start of the next day. So he says the first day. Then on that morning, he starts working again for the second day. And then it says, then evening, because he's done working, and morning the second day. Right? You see, it's a little bit about reading comprehension when it comes to Genesis chapter 1, because for some reason, they were like, oh, there's evening, and then morning, oh, so the day starts and ends at evening. If that's how it's read, that there's evening, the start of the day, and then morning, that would mean morning's the end of the day, right? Because that's what he says. Morning is the end of the day, right? If evening is the beginning, then morning would be the end, right? But the morning is not the end, right? But in this sense, it actually is, right? Because it's not the evening that's the end. It's actually the sun rising that shows you that the previous day has ended, and that the sun rising is the start of the next day. Right? So when it says, oh, God did a work, he said, let there be this, let there be that, and it was so. Then there was evening, because the work was done. Just like when Jesus went to the cross, he did a work, and then what did he do before he passed on? It is finished. The work is finished, and then there was evening. Right? And when you look into this, you're not going to find anything other than talking about the Feast of Atonement, where it says from evening to evening are you going to keep the Sabbath. Right? It has to do with that one particular feast. So, yeah. Something for you to think about. It's another one of those things people just believe because people keep saying it. People say it over and over, that people just believe it because they're like, yeah, why else would people say it if it wasn't true? But nobody actually looks into it. Right? So, I'll give you another witness. Each age, such as the church age, starts with light, the gospel going out to the world, and it ends in apostasy, the Laodicean church. Right? Light in darkness. And then Jesus returns as the light to start the millennial reign. And then the 1,000-year millennial reign ends in darkness with apostasy again. Right? So you see, the cycle starts with light, ends with darkness. So, with all that being said, look into it. Don't take my word for it. Think about these things yourself. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. And if you want to support the channel, please pray to our Heavenly Father that He does His thing. And He protects us and provides for us until He comes and gets us and keeps us all going and makes us bold and strong in the truth to stand up against all odds and opposition to the truth and to His light. And if you want to help out some more, please like, subscribe with the bell icon, share the video, share the channel, interact in the comments section. That would be awesome. And if you want to support the channel some more, there's 4 ways you can donate in the info description box if you so choose. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.